Hi everyone, welcome to Stoke the Fire. Today is the 22nd of January 2018, and here we are in the number 11 year. So very interesting to see those two master numbers, 22 and in the year number 11. And if you're new to Stoke the Fire, you might have heard us talking about this new year as being an 11 year with Pamela Cuccinell, who's my colleague on the other screen. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Cece. It's always fun. Can't wait to talk about this week.
So what we do every week, folks, on Stoke the Fire, if you're catching us on YouTube, you're catching us a bit later on the Monday, and this program lasts about half an hour, 40 minutes, during which Pamela gives concise, accurate forecast of the astrology for the week, giving us very practical information about the things that we can do. And I suggest if you have your date book out, that you put in all of the information about what to look out for and what to do on each day, which is what I do and I have done for many years. And after that, I do a 10-minute turbo boost meditation activation, which I recommend that you can listen to every day for the week. The meditation is more or less a channeled meditation with the master teachers. It's energetic. It's best to listen to this while not operating machinery. And if you can, it's always really good to sit in meditation position, not to be lying down, so that the energy comes straight in down through what we call the vertical nervous system. These meditations are based on the astrology for the week, so that we are using the astrological information to create a turbo boost or some sort of spiritual upliftment for the week, using the information that is actually happening to us this week, making, for example, things that might challenge us or obstacles into things that can actually help us grow spiritually, and of course help us grow more into what I would call the oneness of the energy field, so that we're able to surf the waves rather than have them crashing down on us and we're struggling for air underneath the water. So I've worked with Pam for some nearly 20 years now, and we've been doing Stoke the Fire for many years. And if you would like to get us in your letterbox on a Sunday night as a sound file before everyone else gets it on YouTube, so that you can really plan your week ahead of the blah 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 that we do before, after, between, just the encapsulated version, then you can join us at stokethefire.guru, and on that website you will see all sorts of specials and all sorts of introductory specials, and you'll understand how you can sign up and register for our program and become one of our members. And members receive the encapsulated version, again, as I said before, in the letterbox on Sunday night. So we are here in what I'm sure is going to be a very powerful week, starting off Monday with the number 22, a master number. And let's ask Pam to tell us all about the week coming up, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about our programs and what we offer afterwards. So Pam, 22, I cannot wait to hear about this week. Tell us what's going on, please.
Well, I believe you cannot wait to hear about this week, because this is actually, in certain ways, it's kind of a special week from an astrologer's perspective. And I'm going to explain that right now. Basically, one thing I look at like clockwork is the movement of the moon, because the moon every 28 days returns to new and offers us an opportunity to begin again, fresh starts. Now, ancient people knew this and really paid attention to it. New moon would begin, dark of moon time, plant seeds, watch how things grow, culmination with the full moon, integration energy, different planting cycle happens when the moon wanes. So organic gardeners follow a practice of this, are really paying attention to the lunar cycles now, which have always been paid attention to in farmers' almanacs. And as far back as Poor Richard's almanac which was rather published by the great forefather American Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin was, among other things, a person who practiced astrology. So basically what happened last week was we had the new moon in the sign of Capricorn. So this week, the week of the 22nd, we are in the waxing moon cycle as the moon is growing. And not only that, but what's happening is almost every day this week is what an astrologer would call a good day. Now, good days, when we're forecasting good day to start something, take action, put something into launch, new beginnings. Good days we look at as being times when basically things work with you. So you don't feel like you're pushing the rock uphill, even though you may be pushing the rock uphill because that's the only way to get the rock up. But as you're doing it, you're getting help, support, not encountering a lot of traction as that rock's going uphill. So that's what a good day is. A good day is the best case scenario for whatever activity you initiate. That's the important thing with good days, that you want to be the initiator of whatever it is that is coming to pass. So when we look at the 22nd, as Susie said, 22 is a master number. It basically is echoing the 11 year that we have. And I also like to remember, and maybe it's because I am such a historian with astrology, or as one person who saw me do a panel recently said, my God, you're a scholar. But a lot of astrologers like to do our research. We like to know where things come from. So the 11 number is a master number, very powerful, but it also distills down to the 2. And I've been thinking about this a lot because the 2 in tarot is the high priestess. And so it's very feminine energy. It's all about honoring like body wisdom, emotional wisdom, and even how 11 is represented in the tarot deck is justice, and represented usually by a woman holding scales or a sword. So the 2-2 on Monday has had the moon in Aries, which is a yang sign, so it's masculine sign energy. But it works very nicely in tandem with this celebration of putting things in balance. Now, Aries, by its nature, is the individual, the I am, the I want to do what I want to do. But Aries is continually stretching and wanting to learn from its polar opposite, which is Libra, which is all about how we balance and make things happen. So this particular day, Monday, may have been very fruitful for those of you who hear the recording Sunday night. Can be very fruitful for collaborative ventures. Again, you be the initiator, you pick up the phone, send the email, make the overture, hold out the hand. But as you do that, you're basically generating collaborative effort. And it can happen almost with a lightning bolt electricity over today, Monday, and Tuesday, the 23rd. Because one of the things that's happening is this kind of out-of-the-box charge that occurs as Uranus is in late degree Aries. And so there may be some initial friction that you encounter, and you may experience it especially on Tuesday, where maybe whoever you first approached or how you thought it was going to transpire initially doesn't quite jive or hook up or dovetail in the way you thought. But with this Uranian quality throughout the energy of these couple of days, the fact that you are initiating, starting, and putting out the intention basically causes the two sticks to rub together and the flame bursts forth. So you don't have direct control of when that happens. I don't know how many of you actually have ever done that, but I remember my survival training as a scout, and I'd work with the two sticks, and you get into kind of a rhythm where it's just the dry thing. And when it eventually just sparks, you have no direct control over it. Maybe somebody who's an expert at it and does it regularly does. But then suddenly it just flares up. And so you're inviting that energy in. You're creating the friction, and sometime out of tension, we get that cataclysmic answer that's like, whoa, inspiration. I hadn't thought of that. So it can be something that walks in. The example that comes into my head is, let's say you go for a job interview, you're coming down in the elevator and you're thinking, wow, this is like the 36th interview I've had in 4 weeks and nothing is coming to pass. And somebody gets on the elevator that you start a conversation with, and boom, that's your next employer. So it's that kind of energy. It's about, I'm initiating, I'm starting, I'm going in with my best intention, and I don't really know how it's going to turn out, but I know the spark will happen eventually. So Monday, Tuesday, really good days to take action, to put your first foot forward, to make overtures. The other thing to keep in mind is that all the outer planets right now are direct. So it's as though things are right there for us to look at. We just have to look at them. And this brings me into Wednesday. Now, Wednesday's a day I've been looking at for a while because there's a lot going on, as we know, in the news, and maybe not even in the news, but maybe with people where information seems to be out there and it's almost like on the tip of the tongue, but things aren't necessarily declared or articulated in the way that really makes it tangible or understandable. But there's something that occurs on this Wednesday. It's a picture between Mercury and Pluto. And Mercury is a very fast-moving planet. We usually don't pay a heck of a lot of attention to Mercury, which is why I think it causes so much trickster trouble when it goes retrograde a few times a year. It's like, ooh, now's my chance to make them pay attention to wee little me. But this particular day on Wednesday, because it's engaged with Pluto, and Pluto in Capricorn is so much about revealing secrets, like really digging deep, pulling up what are things that have been hidden, especially things that have to do with finance, institutions, corporations, the big machines that seem to run countries. Actually, countries are kind of big corporate machines now, government bodies rather than actual governments. So Wednesday just seems to be a day when stuff can, like a jack-in-the-box, like revelatory thing occur, or something triggers it, and it can be little. It can be like a little revelation that at first is like, huh, that's interesting. And then as the months go by, it just continues to unravel, whatever this is. So that's how I see this occurring on a big stage. But for you as an individual, Wednesday can be a day where there can be some sort of deep revelation that happens. So pay attention to what is occurring to you on that day, who you encounter, who sends you a note, signals or messages that you see, a billboard or a tweet that catches your eye. What are the things that for some reason have a little hook? And pay attention to what that is. You don't necessarily have to dwell on it. Just jot it down, notice it, bookmark it, so that you can noodle it around and pay attention to it. Because I really feel as though something is coming up. And Wednesday is a day when it just seems to be pushing on the surface of the earth. It's like, okay, I want to be seen, I want to be heard. And it could actually be something physical that occurs in a geocentric way as well. So Wednesday, again, is the moon is in the sign of Taurus as of 8:39 a.m. And once that occurs, we're in a very nice energetic cycle to get messages across, make connections that you want to make, put out uh, a an advertisement or a statement that links back to something you value or consider of importance. Taurus has also to do with the body. And so Wednesday and Thursday, the 25th, can be very good days to kind of listen to your body. See how it's doing. See what foods are accepting to your body. See what colors attract you. How does your body feel? Are you giving your body what your body wants and needs? Excellent, excellent days to let your body speak to you, to present yourself to a massage therapist, acupuncturist, other kind of body worker who's going to kind of give you information that is coming from your body. I went to a lecture last week that the acupuncturist was talking specifically about focusing, about how when we pay attention to certain things that are going on with our body, what is the body trying to tell us? So Wednesday, Thursday can be very profound days for having your body let you know what it needs and therefore what you need to better articulate your purpose, why you're here, what you want to bring forth and make happen. Let's see. So very kind of electric energy on the 25th. The only thing about the 25th to mention is there can be a danger of overextension. When the moon is in Taurus, we like to stay focused on one thing, whatever it may be. Oh, I'm sitting in this nice little cafe with my friend and I'm really enjoying this conversation. And oh my, I suppose I should get back to the office, but this just feels so good. So there's a tendency to kind of sink into whatever we're doing, or I'm really enjoying working on this certain project. And I know I should be leaving from work, but I'm really in a groove here. So just pay attention to whatever you're doing, and almost like a little kid, if there's something you have to do, set your phone to give yourself minute warnings, so that like, oh, in 10 minutes you have to leave to get the train or whatever, so that you are able to actually get up and physically go to your next task. But overall, really, really dynamite days in the beginning of the week. And then we get to the 26th. So the moon goes void, of course, 10 to 17 p.m. For those of you who don't listen all the time, this is Eastern time that I'm speaking, so adjust wherever you are. On the 26th, the moon enters the sign of Gemini as of 12:40 p.m. So it's really lovely to have a lie-in or a slow-moving morning on Friday, because the moon is in Taurus. We just want to kind of sink in and celebrate the joy of physicality and really appreciate what your body wants, savoring the cup of coffee or tea, really ingesting your breakfast so that it gets into your cells in a way that's really good for you. And then once the moon enters Gemini, 12:40 p.m., now we're off to the races again. Now we're moving. Now messages start to fly in, texts go, it's like boom, 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 boom. So this can be a highly busy and stimulating weekend. But what we want to keep in mind, again, is if we did all that nice grounding stuff when the moon was in Taurus and really took care of our body, we have the energy to run like almost to the end of the tank on the weekend when we're buzzing around and getting a lot of things done in that very fast connection energy. And so the 27th, Saturday, excellent day for community, making connections, getting messages out. there might be it's not Mercury retrograde, but you want to be careful about your messages and what you say, just because there can be a boomerang effect. If you don't quite say what you mean, or you're not really very clear, what happens is we get fast responses. So that's why it's important that what you put out there is what you meant to say. So and this happens to me a lot with my daughter, who's a young woman, and as a result, I'm a texter, even though you can hear how slowly I speak. I'm not really a text kind, even though my head moves quickly. I sort of chew on things. I consider. I savor. And so texting to me is like, what are you saying here? I don't always get the code. So know to whom you're reaching. So if you're sending out a message or you're having a conversation, it's more important that you're listening or you're paying attention as to who that person is that you're trying to connect to than what you're saying. What you're saying or the message you want to convey actually matters less than the response and the connection to the person to whom you're trying to connect. So let that be your reason for even opening your mouth or sending out a note, and the availability for your making the absolute right connections really increases. So let's see, just a lively, fun party night on Saturday, if that's what you want to do. The moon goes void, of course, at 5:39 a.m. Sunday morning. And at that point in time, use Sunday, regardless of your expression of faith, use Sunday as a day of rest. Because what's happening is the moon is void, of course, and when the moon's void, of course, for those of you who don't listen regularly, when the moon's void, of course, we're not making any emotional connections to what's being put out there. And if we're not making emotional connections, stuff doesn't usually get done in the same way it does as when, I'm feeling a response, I'm feeling a reaction, I want to make that connection. So it's almost better to just sort of go on autopilot or just go below the radar at that point, because nothing's really connecting. It can be a very lively morning, you can have some great conversations, but nothing's going to go anywhere. So if you're somewhere where you're making a lot of connections and you're thinking like, whoa, great, this is going to follow through, we're going to be able to get this off the ground, it will never happen. It will never happen unless you kind of refabricate it or regenerate it at another point in time. But whatever was said that morning just doesn't really go anywhere. So it can be fun, but it's not permanent. So at 1:57 p.m., the moon enters the sign of Cancer. And even though that's a more directed energy with kind of getting things together or making things happen, where the overall outcome is going to be maybe a bit fractured. So I would say that use Sunday afternoon for, as I said, a restful day, a day being at home, a day being with family, a day nesting, a day planting your little seedlings for your garden in the spring. Whatever it is that makes you just feel very connected to earth, to home, to nest, to the pieces of you that feel as though there's something that you're a part of that's bigger than you. So it's not an ego placement kind of day. It's more a day of just really feeling very connected to a greater whole. And I think that's a lovely way to end what has been a very action-packed week and to use Sunday to just kind of center and restore and adjust yourself as we set up for the week of the 29th, when we'll talk again on YouTube, or for those of you who get the subscription of stokethefire.guru on Sunday. So now I'm going to turn it over to Susie.
Action-packed week.
Yeah, you're kind of weak, girlfriend.
You that don't know, I'm a Gemini, and definitely an action-packed type of person, but also love, and I've written down Sunday the 28th, restful day at home, earth, home, nest. Don't know if it's way too early for me to start seedlings indoors here where I live, upstate New York, but I always feel like I'm being given permission when Pam says this is the day that you can stay at home and rest, because I know we drive ourselves so hard. Like if I just think about how much I achieve during a daytime, and it's interesting to think of how much did we achieve. Like even just going back, perhaps some of you that might be older, going back 20 years into your career, and I'm just thinking of how much less I might have achieved because I didn't have the internet or that instantaneous, mail that you send and you get a response straight away. Remember when we used to actually send letters and type them out on our IBM typing machines and send them out, and then like everything is so sped up. If you have any type of work that involves any sort of administration or running a school or teaching and things like that. So I think it's always a real gift to be given those days when Pam says this is the day that you can stay at home and relax. Write it down, put a big gold star and pay attention, because working as a healer myself, most of the people that I work with are basically overwhelmed, and their adrenal systems are running on absolute empty, and people eat rubbish food and drink coffee all day long and are artificially stimulating themselves, and then they need to artificially de-stimulate themselves by using drugs or pharmaceuticals or alcohol, when really we could just actually listen to those rest days and take them peacefully. So, but let's concentrate on the action-packed part of the week for our meditation. So, Pam, for me, when you say, oh, sorry, that's me bumping my computer. So when you say action-packed, I was thinking that it would be nice to do our meditation on what is action, and how we can perhaps interpret that word for the week. Would that be a...
Yeah, that sounds good, because as you were speaking, I was even thinking that action doesn't always mean running out the door and banging on other people's doors and saying, hey, look at me, look. It's there's all different ways to take action, but it's kind of a reset to let yourself know, okay, it's the door's open now, I'm ready to intake or to participate or partake. So yeah, let's go with it.
Let's go with it. Okay, so off we go. Dear loved ones, we are the Master Teachers. We invite you now to take this 10 minutes to align into the individual. And that individual is, as you know, absolutely unique. There is no question as to how unique each human being is. And we are speaking now just of human beings, natural, organic human beings. So each person comes with their own set of DNA instructions, their own set of life instructions, which of course is completely open to free will in every single moment of the day. And what we are talking about when we are looking now at this time is how do you align with exactly who you are, not what you have thought yourself to be, or not even perhaps a box that you have been squeezed into by your culture or your education system or your family or your loved one. but who you really are, and who you really are when you are not feeling the pressure or the compulsion or the restrictions of making money to survive, to literally be here. Because many people on earth are living in this very convulsive state of living to survive. So what happens when, let's just say that all the survival mechanisms, all of the thriving is happening, everyone is set. Visualize yourself in this situation and then decide, who is it, what am I, who am I, and what is it that I would like to do? Think of this without any restrictions, just for a moment. And as we increase the frequencies, let your minds run wild, let your hearts be free, let the absolutely vital force of creative energy come bursting through, and let this being take action. Let this being use this time now on earth. Let's just use the next week. Let's just use the next 7 days to really let that energy, that innate individual energy, come into action. So it is not action because I have 5 loads of washing and I must jump into the laundry room. It is not the action, oh, I must clean my house, or I must get this book written, or I must do this, or I must do that. There is no must here. There is no must, no should, no absolute. But it is this essential, like the very, very powerful force of like when a baby is born, or like when a thunderstorm erupts and the rain just must flow to earth. It is this very powerful, vital force of creative energy that comes from the very center of your being now, that comes forth during this period of time. So if you are one particular person who is having difficulty finding your way, or you are having difficulty with let's say concentrating on the restrictions and not on the potential and the possibilities, just imagine that they do not exist, and imagine that you are in alignment, and imagine that you are in that place now of bursting forth. When you are imagining, what you are doing is you are superseding, let us say, you are overriding some of the old programming. And there is a great deal of old programming in every single person on this planet, because that is part of the human race, is this programming of fitting in and doing this and doing that. And when you override the programming, then it is not a concern of fitting in. The energy of creation and that individual burst comes forth. So dear loved ones, feel this energy now of action, of activity. And it can come moving slowly. It can come gently and gracefully. It does not have to come flying forth out of you. It does not have to make your heart race. It does not have to be like cardiovascular exercise. It can be energetically really powerful and strong. And each and every single human being now on this planet during this year is going to experience some very powerful, energetic, let us call them bursts of energy. And you might feel them, and we have heard some in the New Age community speaking about these ascension symptoms as such. So just be aware now that as you and as your planet and as your whole galaxy is going through a very dynamic shift now, which does include changes in the climate. It does include changes in the, let us call it the electromagnetic field of the planets and of the sun. As all of these things are happening, human beings are also physically shifting. So you can also experience a number of shifts in your physical body. These might be even visualized or seen or experienced as painful. But just understand that the body is shifting from what we call a three-dimensional state into a more transparent, more free, and more open state. And as this is happening, all of the old paradigms and all of the old ideas, which are no longer useful to you, simply begin to dissolve. So much of your systems, as they are dissolving, these wonderful and new energetic formats are coming into, and those are about you, as about you as an individual, as about you as a unique individual. And every single human being on this planet offers a unique signature into what we call the global web, the global, beautiful, huge spider web of energy. And as you are feeling this and yourself as a important and most vital contribution, be aware now that things will start to shift and change as you now step into your mastery this year, as you step into what we will call your golden age, your period of great quantum leap, of great advancement. And as we say all of this, dear loved ones, we invite you to understand that you are becoming capable now. Many, many people are becoming capable of transcending time and space, of what we call shifting the atoms in the atmosphere, playing literally with the 3D world. So by this we mean that you can take from the blueprint, from the initial visualization, the thought process, and project into the world at large. Now, you have always been doing this. Every single thought you have eventually starts to reconcile somewhere in this universe. So as you are doing this, it is happening faster and faster, and you are becoming more aware of what you are creating. So with all of this movement forward, with all of the changes that are happening, we ask you to be conscious of these changes and do not be adding to the dualistic nature of the universe, as in fighting against something, one against the other, but understand that everybody on this planet now has an opportunity to shift their perspective and to create what would be a different way of being, a different way of seeing, a different way of experiencing. So perhaps instead of fighting against something, perhaps think of what is the alternative that I can do? How can I create a different way, which is not against, but is more about creating something new where everyone can be involved and respected. And as we do all of this, the space opens up to more compassion. And this is the giant, giant shift here, dear loved ones, is the rise of compassion, the rise of understanding. And as you see more and more what you might call absolutely unbelievably ridiculous comments, or seeing even more ferocious and vicious act violence, remember that everyone here, perpetrators, victims, are all your brothers and sisters, and allow the compassion to rise. Allow the compassion to rise in your heart. Allow the compassion to arise very, very deeply from within you, understanding that this is perhaps what makes you the most human. Perhaps it's not the intelligence or the ability to process information and to be resourceful. Perhaps real, true, absolutely far-reaching compassion is what really, really makes you human. Feeling this in your heart and in your life, we invite you now to share this compassion, to feel it deeply, and filling out from the center of your being as rainbow light in all directions, reaching out to all facets of the infinite universe. We thank you. We are the master teachers, and we are complete. Okay, So it's so interesting for me, that experience. That felt like it was like about 2 hours long, but I know it was just 10 minutes because I have my trusty timer here. It's so interesting because like sometimes I have like these really big time warps, and I know from people writing in that sometimes the same thing happens to you. So enjoy the meditation.
It's true. It did seem very, um, well, that's the whole thing about time, isn't it? That when we actually use time in the most effective way, it can feel as though we have all the time we want. So whatever was targeted about that particular activation was felt larger than 10 minutes. Yes, but 10 minutes is, I mean, that's created man time. That's not infinite time. And so whatever you do sometimes opens up that portal for us to connect to all the time we need. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
now it's time
Yeah.
for, if anyone would like to work with me privately, you can reach me susiemazzoli-healer.com. And if you would like to study hands-on healing, the art of energetic healing with me, I have a school in New York City, which actually starts this week, this magical, fantastic week. Never too late to join up. It's in New York City. Also, we have a school opening in Los Angeles this year in March, and another course if you can't join us tomorrow in New York City in March. And we run courses 3 times a year. And Pamela, how can folks reach you?
People can find me at insightoasis.com, and that's where you can find out ways to work with me personally. And I can see a person once, either online or on the phone or in physical locations throughout New York City and Westchester County. Or you can work with me in a more ongoing fashion. Astrology is really very useful for timing of events, as Susie mentioned. So I have programs for people who want to create something in 3 months, 90 days, or even work throughout the course of the year. And one thing that is starting in mid-February is a course designed to develop your art of insight, and it's through taking you through the journey of tarot. So that's going to be 11 classes, and it takes place from February to June. It's deep work. It's for people who want to seek, for people who want to understand their intuitive process more profoundly. We all have the ability to do it, and it doesn't stop me. The fact that I'm an astrologer and tarot maven and Reiki healer, it doesn't stop me from seeing somebody else when I need outside person to help me with insight or healing work. But we all have that ability to develop our energetic healing, as Susie teaches, and or insight. So why not open up your natural intuition so that you can feel more in the moment when you're making decisions. And of course, as Susie said at the beginning of this conversation, you can find out about this program, stokethefire.guru, on that website, and how to sign up for a subscription if you would rather just have the half-hour encapsulated essence of the 20-minute astrology, 10-minute energetic activation, an audio MP3 delivered to your mailbox, as Susie said, on Sunday, so that you're all ready to take that week Monday morning in the way you really want to take it. So we always are so happy to share this information with you. And I usually let Susie say goodbye because she does it with such love, and off we go. So I look forward to seeing you next week, Susie.
And before I say goodbye, a quick plug. We're going to be doing a CD launch in New York City, but if anyone is interested in purchasing a new CD. This is my 5th CD. It is 7 chakra healing meditations. It's just over an hour to use for meditation and for healing sessions. Perfect if you work as a healer to be playing this in the background. I'm playing 80 Himalayan singing bowls that goes whoop all the way up through to the 7th chakra. And you can reach this CD through my website and CD Baby. Thanks, everyone. Really great to spend yet again another session together with you all. Much love and have a great week. See you soon. Love now.